Kia ora and welcome to day 11 of the Beer Jerk Premium Advent Calendar. And the beer we're drinking today is Good to the Grave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke. I was going to get to that.
You always miss that. You know, a number of times we've had to restart videos because we forgot to say his name. We have a format.
I think people know our names by now if you're on day 11 of the Advent Calendar.
Probably do.
And if this is the first video you're watching, then you're, well, I hope you're enjoying watching these videos and not drinking the beers. I wish you were all drinking the beers because we've drank 10 absolute crackers so far.
Yeah.
And I've been excited about drinking this. I know you have too.
Yeah, I was saying to Luke earlier, this is one of the beers that I'm most excited about in the Advent Calendar. And it is a dark rye farmhouse ale with pink peppercorns and pink grapefruit.
Amazing.
So, cheers.
So it's a collaboration beer that's hinted at in the name. It's from Goodland and Sailor's Grave, hence Good to the Grave. So we're good mates with Sailor's Grave, and we've been importing them into New Zealand for a while, and they're just wonderful people down in Gippsland. But this will be my first beer from Goodland.
Yeah, so Goodland is another Gippsland brewery, and we were talking to the guys from Sailor's Grave recently. They were saying that they've done a couple of collaborations with their nearest neighbours recently, and Goodland is one of them, but it is still 3 hours drive away from Sailor's Grave, but in the same region of Victoria because Australia is huge.
Yeah, Gippsland is, if you imagine a map of Australia, it's in basically the bottom right-hand corner of Australia. It's really far from anywhere, and there's just a lot of really wonderful farmland there. Of course, most places are near the ocean, so there's lots of really good seafood and harvesting wonderful things from the sea, which we know the Sailor's Grave make beers with sea urchins and seaweed and wonderful things like that, as well as ingredients from their farms. And there's a lot of neighbouring barley farmers and wheat farmers that they incorporate in their beers. But tell me more about Goodland.
Yeah, so Goodland have a fairly similar ethos. So they're a brewery in a little more inland. Sailor's Grave are right on the coast, but Goodland are inland in a town called Traralgon, which is more of an industrial area, but still within Gippsland. Founded by a brewer called Jimmy Krekelberg. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. He's a former brewer at De Molen in the Netherlands, a fantastic brewery. He's done some brewing in Scotland and stuff as well. But yeah, they launched with a lineup with and a similar ethos to Sailor's Grave. They launched with a raspberry 2.3% dessert beer, a table beer, and they've made a name for themselves for their golden ale. But they have that real focus on the good land and using the best ingredients and trying to get the most out of their beers that way. This is absolutely delightful. It's light, it's zesty, it's complex, it's got a little bit of roast to it. I need to stop talking and drink.
Yeah,
more.
you drink it, I'll chat for a bit. Just really beautiful complexity to it. It's got lovely layers. It's got your base notes. It's got your high notes and the grapefruit in there and the.
How good is that grapefruit pith on the nose? That kind of that grapefruit zest when you kind of just peeling or just slicing into a grapefruit and it kind of get that spurt of oil
it in your eye.
Yeah, that on the nose is beautiful.
And rye is a wonderful grain to use in beers. So you have German rye ales, so Roggenbier, and that's a beer that kind of tastes like rye bread really, and just the taste of rye in baking or in brewing. It's just a lovely dark, I suppose spiciness would be the way that I'd explain the flavour of rye in beer.
Yeah, and I think it's integrating really well with that pink peppercorn as well. It's a kind of subtle back note, but it's kind of, as I'm getting into it, it's reminding me of the spicing that you do in a wit beer. So we drank that wonderful Southpaw wit beer on day 3 of the Advent Calendar. And some of those notes are coming through here as well, that subtle spice with the citrus, but the malt base being, and I think the yeast characters are similarly along that line as well. But having that base malt with a little more sweetness, the spice from the rye, a little bit of toast. It's not too roasty, but you've got some nice caramel notes in there, and it's just a beautifully well integrated but complex beer. This is my kind of thing.
Yeah, so into this bit. It's really inspirational, actually. And a beer that would be really fun to pair with different things. So this would go really nicely with a cheese board, especially like some good crumbly cheddar, some good crackers will go nicely with the rye. It's a beer that will pair nicely with nuts.
Yeah,
I reckon. Just any traditional bar snacks, I suppose. It'd be good, crisps or nuts or scratchings.
Just your full classic charcuterie, I think, is exactly the kind of thing where you've got all those different flavors. And one of the good things about pairing a beer like this is with a cheese board or that kind of charcuterie is each thing that you pair it with is going to bring out different aspects of the beer. So as Luke said, nuts are going to pair well with the malt base. And your crumbly cheeses are going to kind of have that sharpness, which is works well with the spice. You can have creamy cheeses, so the citrus and stuff offsets that. Your salty meats to it's exactly the kind of beer for that. And
you can probably tell by the way that we're gushing that we're both pretty into this beer, and with Sailor's Grave being such an amazing brewer that we're such really big fans of, so really good to discover Goodland, and hope we'll be importing more of their beers as well. But it's just really nice to see a beer that's super well thought out.
Yeah,
I think these days, the thing that we talk about sometimes is that I think craft beer drinkers love novelty and new things and new flavours, and often that leads to, I suppose, brewers they're hectic. They have a lot of recipes to come up with, a lot of beers to make. But I feel like it can often end up with just like, we'll just chuck some grapefruit in. Or we'll just chuck whatever adjunct ingredient in. But actually to really spend the time crafting and building a recipe to really integrate perfectly with those flavours and champion those flavours is a thing that's really, really impressive. This isn't something that's been quickly knocked together, that we're gonna, we'll chuck some peppercorns and some grapefruit in this beer. It's from the ground up. This is a completely unique and hugely delicious beer.
I can't say enough good things about it. I'm going to drink some more.
Well, thank you to Goodland, thank you to Sailor's Grave, and thank you for joining us on our Advent Calendar journey. I hope you're enjoying this half as much as me and Matt are, because we're pretty crazy about it.
We're delighted.
Enjoy your Saturdays, and we'll see you again. No, it's Sunday today.
Sunday, yeah.
And we'll see you again tomorrow for another Advent Calendar beer.
We will.
Cheers.
And we might also see you on Saturday at the Fridge and Flagon for our Christmas party, where we have just tapped a keg of 2018 Prohibition Porter that we've had stashed in our cellar. And we've got some other bangers lined up as well, so come see us for that. Yeah, we've just booked in a really fantastic chef that's going to be bringing his barbecue coals and make some really fantastic stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a cool Christmas party. So, and we'll tell you about that many more times during this week. Cheers.
Cheers.